Hi, this is Laurene, and if you will give me just a minute to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. Okay, so this week has been pivotal, and energetically I can feel the change. Up until last weekend, there was just a buildup of energy, and this week it has been very different, and it's almost like we just spent the last year going up the hill, or me energetically going up the hill, and now I'm on the down part, and it's picking up speed, and it's a little exciting, but it's also a little stressful, because I think up to this point, this past weekend, it's been pretty much just about clearing, centering, and balance my energy, protecting my energy, projecting love and light energy, living by example, touching as many people's lives as possible in the most positive of ways, understanding how to set boundaries, understanding how to let people go even though I love them and care about them. Sometimes those people can be toxic and need to move on in their own way, do their own thing, allowed to live their life the way they choose, but also I have to not allow them to contaminate my life and the life I choose to live. And so that was what the years prior to this past weekend have been about, is understanding that part of who I am, my role, my person, how to best project the best parts of myself while also protecting my energy field, while also advocating for myself from a place of goodness, but not being a pushover. And so understanding those boundaries was a really pivotal, and prepared me for where we're going next. And so that means having a voice in a way that expresses things in a positive, balanced way, but also being able to project knowledge, wisdom, confidence, and strength in those opinions or beliefs or messages in a way that best serves the greater good, the divine energy that is channeling through me, the divine energies that are channeling through me, what they represent and the messages they send as agents or paladins of love and light for our divine creator, as well as our divine creator, the creator of all things, or God, however you want to refer to this energy. So that is kind of where I was, and kind of the transition and where I'm moving to. And I think most people opening up spiritually and becoming spiritually awakening are finding their own footing in this endeavor, their own perspective, their own roles in moving forward. And I found that a lot in readings I've been doing recently. Questions about spiritual awakening and the implications and what that means for the individual. So with that, I think I'm going to move forward, and this whole week has been about the Native American elder of the collective, the circle of creation, the interactions we've had, the messages conveyed, and the implications of that. And as I go through that, I'm just going to insert, I guess, what happened this past week that's appropriate. So April 7th, I was actually, before I went to bed, I was called into the circle of creation by the Native American elder but I accidentally fell asleep, and I was tired. I was like, okay, as soon as I lay down, I'm gonna come in and we'll, start working. And I fell asleep, and I woke up in the next morning. And let me just say, I've said this in past videos, but what I'm going to say is I don't name things mostly unless I'm given a name. Otherwise, the only thing I'm concerned about is the energy that's being projected and the intention of that energy. And as long as it's of the highest intention from a place of love and goodness and kindness and representative of the divine, I'm open to that energy. And that's part of maintaining clear, centered, and balanced energy, is being able to discern and read that energy and be confident that it's coming from the most positive place possible. Because they present themselves visually, I know that they are presenting themselves as Native Americans and elders, is a feeling I get. I guess I could look at them also and see that they're older gentlemen, and so you think of age and wisdom, but also it's just the energy that's coming to me. On April 8th, I was getting ready for work. That's the next morning, and the Native American elder showed up, and he called me once again into the circle of creation. I was getting ready for work, so I said I would reconnect when I was on the bus. Because I don't drive, I bus, bike, and walk everywhere. I don't own a car. I choose not to own a car in the city. So then I started thinking about his feathers. So we were chatting. I told him I'd get back to him when I'm on the bus. And so when I see him visually, I started thinking about his feathers, and I asked why he didn't have more feathers. They seemed so sparse. And he said, I'm a medicine man, not a chief, not the head of the tribe. He also said, I'm a medicine man or a shaman, however you want to refer to me. He said, I'm a spiritual leader. Then I thought, shouldn't you have a few more? I still felt like you should have more feathers. As I was thinking of images of medicine men or shamans I've seen in the past, just pictures in books or paintings or posters. And he said, this is my casual everyday attire. And so my guides, they often act silly when they want to, or they're trying to get me to lighten up. So because in past videos I said the knowing is so heavy, just knowing what's going on and knowing the emotions of people as I walk by them on the street, and then knowing about this transition and what's taking place, and knowing that some people are going to be moving to Cepheus to incarnate, and some will transcend with Mother Earth, and the weight of not being able to help those people because it is their own choice. I can't force someone to awaken. That is something that they have to choose. And just the weight of that knowing can be very hard, and so it starts to weigh on me. And when you start projecting the fear or the sadness for, even if it's for others, it still dims your light. It still dims your energy field. And so often my guides will come in to try to lighten me up, and they just act silly. And so he was just being silly. We were just having a very silly, almost very childlike interaction, because I was asking him about something I was not aware of. I'm not raised in the Native American community, so I understand the significance of feathers, but truly I don't have a lot of personal knowledge. So when I got on the bus, I closed my eyes, and the Native American elder was there once again, calling me into the circle of creation. He asked me what I wanted to create. I said I wanted to create a world filled with beautiful vegetation. Then I saw beautiful vegetation like on the hiking trails in Hawaii. I used to live in Hawaii, and I used to hike a lot there. And so I was seeing that as I was thinking that. Then I said, I want a desert with beautiful blooming vegetation. Then I saw a cactus flowering. I said I wanted the desert to be teeming with life in balance. Then I saw it. Then I saw the lower elevations, the redwoods, the sequoias, ferns. I said I wanted it filled with life in balance. Then I saw the high mountains teeming with life in balance. While I was visualizing, I saw myself sitting on my couch from the shoulders up. I was creating. So I'm sitting on this couch, and from here up, I could see everything I was creating. I could see the vegetation as I remember it in Hawaii when I was hiking. I could see the redwoods with ferns all around me, and the sky. I could see the high mountains with trees and birds and bears and just life, just everywhere. Insects, butterflies. I could just see it all around me. And then just from here below was my living room, was my couch and my stuff. And let's see, the Native American elder was standing near me, waving his hands in the air slowly while I was visualizing. He was being silly, trying to get me to lighten up, relax, so I could create in the circle of creation. Sometimes the weight of what is going on in this world can be heavy. My guides will often lighten up the mood, the moment, the energy, by being silly and making me laugh. It helps put me in a better state of mind and emboldens creation. So while I'm creating and I'm visualizing all of this above me, he's like doing this. He's like, huh? And he's like singing like I can't remember the name of the song, but it's like a 70s folk song. And it's playing in the background, and he's like, da da da, as I'm creating. And it was hysterical, and I loved it. And I just was like this. I was smiling and feeling so light, and he was just right here to my left, and he's just doing that. And I knew what he was doing, and I just went with it. So anyway, okay, so 4/9, April 9th, I didn't want to go into the circle of creation. I felt unworthy. I felt like I had been giving in to my anger and frustration. There was just stuff that I said last week was happening at work, and then it kind of moved into the next week. And so I was just, that life, it can be life, my personal life, it could be what's going on in this world, but it just can start to weigh on me, and it just, just dims my light, and my focus goes to this place of more negative, worry, concern, anxiety, frustration, and that's not a good place to create from. So I didn't want to go into the circle. I felt like I had been giving in to my anger and my frustration. I felt like I was weak. I wanted to do better. I wanted to be better. The Native American elder called me into the circle. I told him I think it would be better if I sat outside the circle for now. He said I should come in. I sat by the fire. I said I felt I had been giving in to my emotions, falling too deeply into my anger and frustration. He said, come into the circle. You are everything you are meant to be. You are compassionate and kind. You are strong. You are what you need to be. You are a warrior. You embody the strength of the feminine and project it into the world in defense of Mother Earth, of life. You are the divine feminine. Be that for this world. Walk into the fire. I got up and walked into the fire. I stood on top of the earth with stars surrounding me. I thought of creation. I think of all the people who have made sacrifices for me in my life. My father, And there's a person I spoke of in a video from the past that made my life possible, other than my father. An energy that made sacrifices in this lifetime so I could exist and from a more balanced place. I think of all the people who have made sacrifices for me in my life and feel gratitude. I see the loss and feel sadness. I see the lost and feel sadness. I understand the possibilities and ask for guidance in creating the best possible outcome for this world. The elders outlining the circle of creation, manifesting the circle of creation, bow their heads in solidarity. I turn into a phoenix and rise from the ashes of the fire. (4:10). I woke up early this morning. The Native American elder was waiting for me. He called me into the circle of creation. I had an appointment and needed to get up and get going, but he kept calling me in. I also had a couple of things on my mind that were distracting me. He kept calling me into the circle, so I went. As soon as I walked in, there was something I would describe as a dust storm that manifested. It was swirling. I knew it was a Fibonacci spiral. So I walked into the fire and then walked into the circle. And as soon as I walked into the circle, I saw that swirling of the Fibonacci spiral. But it looked like a dust storm. So more like a tornado. I knew it was a Fibonacci spiral. It looked like a tornado. The Fibonacci spiral was not separate from me. It was me. I grew and it became enormous. I grew and became enormous. I was the spiral. My arms were perched on the top of the spiral, my head above. The feeling was simply creation. All things are manifested in this manner. We do so from our conscious thoughts. I had to get ready to leave. So he called me into the circle. As soon as I walked into the circle, the spiral started. And I saw it and I knew it was a Fibonacci spiral, but I was the Fibonacci spiral. And then I saw myself with my arms around the top of the spiral, just like this. And I was creation. Then I needed to go. I needed to get somewhere. I took the bus to my appointment. When I was on the bus, I saw a toddler in a stroller and a young girl, about 4. They were together, both with masks on. It made me sad. Breath is life and necessary for proper brain development. So, hypercapnia is excessive carbon dioxide in the blood. Hypoxia are very low levels of oxygen. And to deprive a child's brain of proper oxygen is to arrest proper development of the brain. And because I can't educate everybody, I can't tell everybody what they're doing, in thinking that they're protecting or saving their children, in fact, they're causing potentially deficits in their abilities, in their brain development for the rest of their life. I can't say that to people. They'll become offended. People are steeped in fear right now, even though no children have passed from COVID. People are so deeply ingrained in fear, to talk about it is an exercise in futility. So I just don't talk about it. So I closed my eyes and I walked into the circle of creation and wrapped the 2 children in Fibonacci spirals, asked for assistance from the elders for protection, healing, and awareness for these children. No children have died from COVID. They are heavily protected and fortified by God, the universal source, and their angels. It is their parents who respond to the world through fear that will bear the consequences of their choices. There are children who may have to deal with consequences of arrested brain development as a result of being forced to wear a mask, but it is their parents, the politicians, their agents and masters who will carry the burden of the karmic consequences that will follow. It is these actions and many others that are manifesting the world in Cepheus. So, at this point, this negative polarity is manifesting the world in Cepheus that they will be incarnating on in their next lifetime. And these actions will not result in any creation on Earth. All this creative energy is being projected to Cepheus. Who are creating here on this world are the elders in the circle of creation. I'm allowed to walk into the circle of creation, and maybe other people who may be on this world, who like me, maybe on different continents, have been invited into the circle of creation. We are creating the world we are creating the rebirth of Mother Earth. We are manifesting it. Every time I enter the circle of creation, I turn into a Fibonacci spiral. This tells me we are experiencing a profound time of creation. The intensity of the spiral is hermetic, the wisdom inspiring it, erudite, sagacious, omniscious. It is complete. The darkness is fading. The person who has been presented to the American people as a leader is fading. His agents and masters are fading. Their power to create in darkness no longer exists. All their creative abilities are being directed to Cepheus. They are creating their new world. Those who have been invested in this energy, those who have committed to this paradigm, will leave with this energy. The seeds of creation are being planted by the wisest, most committed energies, centered in love. Those who manifested the circle of creation, those who never lost faith or hope in the Creator of all things. The Native American elders, the indigenous people of this world, the stewards of Mother Earth, the light in the darkness. To these energies we owe our eternal gratitude for holding on to the truth that so many of us forgot. We honor you. Without you, Mother Earth might have chosen another path. You continued to love her, calling forth the power of creation, facilitating in her rebirth. This is a debt humanity owes that can never be repaid. Divinity honors the will, the strength, your steadfastness. It is you who have planted the seeds of creation. They grow in your name, in your honor, for you to reap. For you will reap what you have sown. The Creator of all things is eternally grateful. You, who are referred to as the indigenous people on earth, were chosen because you, like Laurene, have never failed to fulfill your promise, your commitment to your path. I honor you. We honor you. All honor you. Open yourself up to the gifts I am offering you. You will be the first to receive. So, I wrote about this in the past, and we've had the Holocaust and other parts of the world where they've tried to, eradicate races of people or different nationalities or religious followers. But what has been done to the Native Americans over the last couple hundred years is it's been slow and it's been pervasive, and they have tried to eradicate the Native American people from the planet, from the United States, from North America. And I was watching a news thing on C-SPAN, I think it was, and this Native American elder passed away recently, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name, but what I remember is what he said. And he said at 1900 there were 250,000 Native American in the United States. I believe he said United States, it might have been North America. He said at this time, which was around 2000, 2005, there were less than 50,000. And so what has been done, and I had made a comment. I said, if you truly want to successfully eradicate a race of people, you have to do it slowly so that nobody notices. Because when they went after the Jews in the Holocaust, they killed so many people so quickly that everybody got involved. When nobody knows it's happening and it's done slowly, without cameras, without battles or wars, there's a greater chance of success because you won't get anybody up in upheaval, right? So for hundreds of years, these are people who have been slowly eradicated. I was taught in history that the people from the New World, Columbus, they brought the blankets with smallpox and they infected the Native Americans and tried to wipe them out so they could, so manifest destiny could happen. When I went to go look I was trying to do a blog or something about this instance and what's happening to the Native American people about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years. I couldn't find anything about the blankets and the smallpox. The only thing I could find was, people have speculated about this, but it can't be true. It's highly improbable. That's all I could find. And the only blog or write-up about what I had learned as fact in school was written by a young Native American artist who has had issues with depression and attempted suicide, who said that he had heard through the elders in his tribe, he was told those stories of the blankets. That was the only thing I could find. The oral history remained. The written history, it was rewritten. So the first to reap the benefits of creation will be the Native Americans, will be the indigenous people who have always been stewards of Mother Earth, the caretakers of Mother Earth. They will be the first to be blessed with the gifts of creation that we will be experiencing. There's no way we can repay them for calling creation to this world. There's nothing we can do to repay that. But the olive branch is they will be the first to reap the rewards, the benefits, the gifts afforded Mother Earth by Mother Earth and by Divinity, by God, by the Creator of all things. Okay, I'm just going to take a minute and clear, center, and balance my energy again and see if anything comes. And so, as soon as I close my eyes, of course, I'm not surprised the Native American elder's there. And he bowed. And he bowed deeply. And then all of the Native American that make up the circle, including the elder, they laid face down and they kind of created a circle that looked like a sun, I guess you could say, and that circle came up in this position. And so it was the shape of, I would say, a sun, with the bodies of these elders kind of being the rays. And I want to put the fire in the middle of the sun, but I'm not sure if that's appropriate. And so now the sun starts to rotate and it starts to move like a, I don't know, gyroscope or something, just in a bunch of different directions, and it's creating a sphere. And it goes down into the heart of Mother Earth and it merges with Mother Earth. And it moves out to the surface of Mother Earth. Oh. It represents the rebirth. It's the rebirth. The creation, the visualization is complete. And the Native American gentleman, the Native American elder, steps back and he says, "We honor you. Now you must guide. Now you must guide." So what I kept getting that I didn't write down last week was the seeds of creation have been planted, and now we must be patient as it grows, as those seeds of creation grow. And now I see a Native American female. She comes and she's standing though, and she does this and this. 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 We are one. I am you. You are me. We are one. I just see a field of Native American people moving. It looks like some men are dancing over here. It looks like things are happening, like busy stuff, busy work, things happening over here. There's no vehicles, so there's no buildings. I can't see if it's present. It looks fairly present based on the clothes. All dirt, hills, nothing growing. and then the woman turned around and she was facing the people. Then she turned around, faced me, and she said, "You are welcome. Come, you are welcome." And even though I'm there with her, it's like people kind of look at me a little bit, but just keep doing what they're doing. They're like not coming up to greet me. It's just like business as usual. And so just like when I first went to the circle of creation, I'm just walking and I'm observing. I'm not engaging. I'm just observing what's going on around me. And I would say only the more elderly individuals are like nodding to me, like to acknowledge I'm present, but nobody else is. And so I'm walking through, and there's a house, and it's white, and it's small. It's not fancy at all. It's very, a little bit, I guess, run down, I would say. Just tattered. And I go in, and there's men in there. And it looks like a house from the outside, but on the inside it looks like they're sweating, like they're sweating, like a sauna. And they're just sitting and chatting, and I stepped out because I didn't think I should be there. And I think I'm just going to go out. So I just feel like I want to go out to nowhere where there's no people and just sit on with the earth. And know the land. And then there's a Native American gentleman that just walked up to me, but he has more like a cowboy look. He's got a black hat and just wearing jeans and a darker shirt. He's probably in his 50s or 60s. And he just greets me. He just lets me know he's there, and then he walks away and lets me sit with the earth. Know the world from this perspective. This is birth. This is the birth. Maybe this is where the birth will begin. This is where the manifestation will begin. This is ground zero, maybe. I think he's telling me. This is where birth will begin. Sit and be one with the earth. Okay. I think I'm going to stop there because what I feel is right now I need to go meditate and just connect. So thank you. Thank you.